ABC 13 Eyewitness News at 6:30 starts now.
Now on Eyewitness News at 6:30, COVID-19 and our community. City leaders giving an update on the city's response to the virus.
Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner announcing 884 new cases and 7 new deaths, bringing the total number of cases to nearly 37,000 with 329 total deaths.
However, let's get to some good news tonight, Chauncey. Hospitalizations seeing a downward trend. Take a look. This graph shows the average number of COVID patients admitted to the Texas Medical Center every day. The Med Center says an average of 296 COVID patients were hospitalized each day last week. That is the second straight week that the number has dropped. Mayor Turner reminding everyone to wear your masks and help Houston flatten the curve for the month of July.
I want to see our kids in school. I want to see businesses to remain open and to flourish again. But in order for that to happen, we're going to have to take the fuel and the energy away from this virus.
Now, it is no surprise healthcare workers have been working around the clock. Hospitalizations, even though they have dropped a little bit, they are still 5 times what they were in April. And the recent spike has caused hospitals to really feel the strain from that. ABC 13's Marla Carter spoke with the CEO of Houston Methodist to find out what hospitals are facing.
It's something we have been tracking for over a week now. The medical center says there is bed capacity, but we found patients left waiting for a bed. Hospitals are really busy, so much so that according to the Southeast Texas Regional Advisory Council, or SETRAC, 147 patients in the Houston area were waiting for a bed yesterday morning. The CEO of Houston Methodist says with the uptick in cases, sometimes there's a backlog.
What we are able to portray and display is, the number of beds that are theoretically available. But of course, we can't snap our fingers and necessarily have the staff in place, on a moment's notice for every single bed, nor would you want to have hundreds of beds staffed without patients coming in. You're just going to tire out these staff who are working very tirelessly for months now.
There's indications, though, that the spike is leveling off, but the numbers are still high. According to SETRAC, in a 25-county region, on Saturday, 1,661 patients went to the hospital with COVID-like symptoms. That's down from last Tuesday, where the number was at 2,044. But it's still up quite a bit from Memorial Day, where 630 patients went to the hospital.
The good news is, when it's level, even though it's at an extraordinarily high level, we're in a little bit more of a steady state, and it's a lot, I don't want to say easy, but it's less difficult to care for people. Then, of course, where day in, day out, you see, the numbers just go up and up and up.
Now the hope is the 4th of July doesn't cause a big spike in cases. It takes a couple of weeks to get a full picture. Dr. Boom says while they're still getting the data in, it appears the holiday may have had an impact.
I think what we're seeing in the data now is that the 4th of July did push more virus spread. Even though we had a big push to keep people home, and many people did. I think the community as a whole was much better than over Memorial Day, for instance.
And he's hoping the numbers start to drop after leveling off, especially with the masking order in place.
The data nationally is crystal clear now around masking. Every study that comes out says masking works, and it works very effectively as long as everybody wears one. So I'm thrilled we have the masking order in place, and we're going to need that in place for a long-term period going forward, and I think it can make a real difference.
Marla Carter, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Marla, thanks. Meanwhile, the CDC has updated its guidance for people who are isolating at home after exposure to the coronavirus. If you tested positive and have symptoms, you can stop isolating 10 days after your first symptoms, as long as, number 1, it's been 24 hours since your last fever without fever-reducing medication. Number 2, if your symptoms such as coughing or shortness of breath have improved. If you tested positive but don't have any symptoms or have not developed symptoms, you can stop isolating after 10 days after your initial test. Or you can stop isolating if you get 2 negative tests taken in less than 24 hours apart.
Okay, you may have heard the thunder and the rain earlier. Chief Meteorologist Travis Herzog joining us with a look at where that rain is now. Travis?
Yeah, and we've got the two tropical disturbances we're watching, Alona. The first one near Texas, that's what's causing today's rain. And we just got an update from the National Hurricane Center that has lowered the development odds of the one near shore. That makes sense because it moves in overnight. But the one that's out there near Cuba, the Bahamas, the Florida Straits, development chances have just increased to 30%. And that's coming straight for Texas late this week. Meanwhile, the disturbance to our south, just south of Galveston, continues to swirl in some healthy, needed rain showers. Compare this to last week when it was bone dry and the temperature was topping 100 degrees. Today we're enjoying rain-cooled air and some much needed water on thirsty lawns and fields. More of these showers continue to flow through our coastal counties and communities, and we'll be looking at more rain on the way overnight into Tuesday from the current disturbance nearby. It's the second one we'll have to watch throughout the week for impacts here Friday and Saturday, and we'll have a full forecast on that coming up in a little bit later on.
Well, with the new school year just weeks away now, parents in 2 local districts have opportunities to learn more about this upcoming school year, which will be different. Spring ISD holding 2 virtual town hall discussions with district leaders. One happening right now on the district's YouTube channel. Another is tomorrow night at 6 p.m. in Spanish. Parents are being asked to respond to an email survey by August 3rd about whether they'd prefer their child to learn in class or virtually. However, Spring ISD has said its plan will depend heavily on COVID-19 activity in the community. We'll take a look right now. A meter on the district's website points to red, meaning the majority of students will learn online. Meanwhile, over in Cy-Fair ISD, the district saying it will make a decision by next Monday on how to start the school year. Parents have until August 5th to select whether they want their child to learn in person or virtually. They can change that selection until August 10th. The first day for Cy-Fair ISD is August 24th.
All right, applications for the second phase of Fort Bend County's rental assistance program are now open. This is all part of the county's $19.5 million assistance program to help people pay their rent, their mortgage, or their utilities. Applications will be accepted through the end of the month or until that money runs out, but there are requirements to qualify, such as making less than 80% of the area's median income. Also, you need proof that you can't pay your bills because of a loss or reduction in your job or income. For a full list of eligibility requirements and information on how to apply, just go to our website at abc13.com. Well, for the past 4.5 months, Houston attorney and businessman Mark Watts has been quietly leading the charge on safety protocols for businesses amid this coronavirus outbreak. Today, he spoke with ABC 13's Shelley Childers about what it'll take to avoid a second stay-at-home order, and she's joining us now live with more. Shelley?
Alona, he tells us it's going to take a collective conscious effort to reduce the current uncontrolled spread of this disease and keep the economy running.
Houstonian Mark Watts is a member of the 40-person strike force to open Texas, created by Governor Greg Abbott, and the chair of the Greater Houston Partnership's COVID-19 task force. His daily work grind has turned from sales numbers to COVID cases.
We've got a high level of community spread. You know, despite everyone's best efforts, I think we have way too many cases out in the community.
Like so many of us at home, he is concerned about the ever-growing rate of positive cases in Houston and the delay in testing results. This Aggie and Harvard Law School grad is doubling down on mandates to wear a mask, social distance, and scale back on family gatherings.
For obvious reasons, people crave, you know, social intimacy. You want to see your friends. You want to see your large family. You certainly want to see your grandkids. But you just have to be extra careful. And just the fact that they are somehow related to you or your friends does not mean that they can't transmit the virus.
Ever the businessman at heart, he believes we can gain control of the current spread without a second stay-at-home order, but warns it will take drastic and conscious effort.
And we cannot stay at levels this high. So if these social distancing measures don't have the effect that we hope they do have, then we will have to do something else. And there are not a lot of other things that can be done.
His biggest advice for businesses: if you can keep employees working from home, do so for as long as possible. Reporting, Shelley Childers, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
While we grieve the loss of this legend, we are blessed to know that he touched so many people on every corner of the globe.
Tributes continuing to pour in today for late Congressman and civil rights icon John Lewis. Earlier today, the House held an emotional moment of silence right there on the House floor. Several members were seen wiping tears from their eyes as they paid tribute to their late colleague. And letters were also posted here on the door of Lewis's office in D.C., thanking the congressman for his service and expressing their condolences. Lewis died on Friday at the age of 80 after months of battling with cancer.
Still to come, remember the controversy over that student suspended over the length of his dreadlocks in Barbers Hill ISD? Well, the district just made a decision following a grievance claiming that hair policy is discriminatory. We'll tell you what was decided.
And ABC 13 Plus strives to bring you inspiring and uplifting stories from Houston's diverse communities. And this week, we're in Katy and Fulshear. Just ahead, we'll show you how the flower shop here is blooming with business in the midst of this pandemic. Stay with us.
ABC 13 Eyewitness News continues with Chauncey Glover and Ilona Carson.
This just in this evening there in the Barbers Hill School Board, they have voted not to change its hair code policy after controversy surrounding the suspension of 2 black male students with locks. Now, you might remember this story. DeAndre Arnold gained national attention after he wasn't allowed to return to school or attend his senior graduation ceremony because he would not cut his locks. Well, I followed him all the way to L.A. to the Oscars after he was invited by the creator of the Hair Love movie. Now, today, DeAndre's cousin, Caden Bradford, was also in the fight. He was a sophomore when the dress code and grooming policy was revised to prohibit male students from wearing long hair. Well, today, attorneys from the ACLU of Texas and the Juvenile Children's Advocacy Project of Texas laid out their grievances, calling the district's policy discriminatory.
You're telling him that being black is a problem in Barbers Hill.
Well, the district's attorney made clear that the policy isn't based on the hairstyle, but the length of the hair. DeAndre, whose dad is from Trinidad, says his hair is a part of his culture and his heritage. I just spoke to DeAndre on a quick Zoom call with his reaction over today's ruling.
This is just a minor setback to me. Like, this in no way is this going to stop me fighting. Your hair is like royalty. Like, you take care of it, you do everything for it. Like, that's why my hair is so important to me, other than just my culture and heritage. It's a part of me.
Now, DeAndre is keeping his message alive through these T-shirts. He sent these to me a few weeks ago that read, "My hair is my crown." For more information on how you can support DeAndre and his T-shirts, just find this story on abc13.com.
All right, Chauncey, thanks. Now, COVID-19 has impacted our entire Houston area, but as we've learned through ABC 13 Plus, local communities are not letting the virus stop them from taking care of each other. And that's true in Katy and Fulshear, where we're going to be this week for ABC 13 Plus. From customers leaving bigger tips at restaurants to businesses going out of their way to keep morale up, there's a lot of positivity west of Houston these days. And community journalist Chaz Miller is at a flower shop in Fulshear with an example of that positive spirit. Hi, Chaz.
Alona, yeah, Ace Berry of Fulshear Floral Design told me when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, business was a little slow, but then May came and he had the biggest month he's ever had. That has stayed steady in large part because people just want to smile. And what's more smiley than some nice flowers? Anyway,
I was a very Renaissance kind of guy. I did a lot of little things and wasn't really great at any of them. Worked in bars, changed people's oil. I worked in the oil field for 5 years. I got laid off. I decided I wanted to make a complete career change and to do something that I would love for the rest of my life. And I chose flowers. My name is Ace Berry. I am a floral artist. I am the owner and creative director for Fulshear Floral Design here in Fulshear, Texas. I worked for a very small shop in Victoria, Texas, and I was a delivery driver for them. I was actually a really horrible delivery driver, but it gave me my love of flowers. I'm the 2019 Texas State Floral Designer of the Year. I'm also the 2017 Houston Designer of the Year. And I was the second place person in the Jim Johnson Cup. I've gotten to help with the Philadelphia Flower Show. I've gotten asked to help at the White House. I just want people to love flowers as much as I do. It's no secret I'm a very large man. And I don't look like your florist. When you walk into this store and you kind of look at me, the last thing that comes to your mind is, that dude does flowers. When my wife and I are places and they're like, oh, we own a flower shop, they're like, they look at her and they go, oh, you do flowers? And she's like, I'm an HR person. He's the florist. And they're like, wait, there's no way. But to me, it just makes me happy because it's like, you can't judge this book by the cover. This is what I love and this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm beyond blessed to do what I love for a living. I don't want to do anything else. A smile doesn't cost you a thing. And I think that just being an overall positive person, I think that's how we should live, and that's kind of how flowers help me out.
Very nice. And I have behind me, in the spirit of social distancing, former bad delivery driver, current master florist, Ace Berry, working on his latest masterpiece. I don't know if you can tell that shirt. It's got his face on it with a beard made of flowers. Ta-da! If you want to learn more about Ace and Fulsher Floral Design, go to abc13.com/localish. And if you want to see everything we're doing this week in Katy and Fulsher, go to abc13.com/plus Katy Fulsher. Live in Fulsher, I'm Chaz Miller, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Great story, Chaz. And we've got a little rain moving into Katy and Fulsher right now, compliments of a tropical wave that's spun up an area of low pressure just south of Galveston. And there's another one on the way that's currently near Cuba. This one now has a 30% chance of becoming a tropical depression or tropical storm Gonzalo before it reaches us sometime Friday or Saturday. Let's go to the radar. You can see that low pressure spinning south of Galveston, very disorganized, but at least it's bringing some beneficial rain showers. And there's that rain that's blowing in towards Katy, inching towards Fulsher. It's dry right now. We'll see if that rain shower can survive. It is in the process of weakening. South of I-10 towards the coast, we're seeing a few more rain showers, but it's beginning to dry out again in Galveston. Expect more rain showers to pop up overnight and a few more storms off to the northwest of Houston. I do think the radar quiets down over the next few hours, but then we'll see things flare back up again after midnight. Get ready for a sloppy first half of the day on Tuesday, especially the southern half of our area, the south of I-10. Then in the afternoon, the better rain chance will shift off to the north of the I-10 corridor. It's currently cloudy over Houston and rain cooled at 78 degrees officially at Bush, just 16, 107 inch. And down in Galveston, things are starting to dry up. It's currently 82, a quarter of an inch falling at the airport on the island. So back to those two waves. The first one is probably not going to develop before it moves inland, and the second one only has a 30% chance of developing right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if that inches up a little bit once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. The path is clear. It's coming towards Texas. We are in the pipeline, and by Wednesday, we'll see that swirl of low pressure in the central Gulf. By Thursday, it's getting closer to us, and by Friday, it's just offshore, and then will work its way inland as we go into Saturday, and that promises to bring us a few rounds of some pretty heavy downpours, with the highest accumulations once again near the coast. We're looking at 2 to 4 inches, fairly common, but there could be some spots that pick up over half a foot of rain, and those amounts could go up if this does become better organized. So the first half of the day Tuesday, expect a higher chance of storms than you'll get in the afternoon. Rain-cooled highs in the 80s on Tuesday. Then we dry out a bit as we go into Thursday ahead of that next tropical wave that again does have the potential to develop into something a little bit more, but right now we think regardless of development, it brings us widespread showers and thunderstorms starting Thursday night and continuing through the first half of the weekend.
Travis will have the umbrellas ready. Thank you. A breakthrough that should open the doors for the Texans training camp. Russell Westbrook is on his way, and the Astros ready to play real live baseball tonight in Kansas City. Next in sports.
Now 13 Eyewitness News with Sports Director Greg Bailey.
J.J. Watt led the charge, calling for clarity from the NFL this weekend. Well, number 99 gets a large chunk of that today. The NFL and the players have now agreed on daily COVID testing to get training camp started. If the positives are over 5% after a couple of weeks, the daily testing will continue. The path largely now open to training camps this weekend or early next week. Rocket star Russell Westbrook ready to join his team in Orlando. What a big breakthrough after Westbrook tested positive for COVID. Mike D'Antoni expecting his star to quickly ramp up and be ready for the team's second scrimmage next week. Astros manager Dusty Baker wants to play his regular 6, maybe 7 innings in tonight's exhibition in Kansas City. Baker also wanting Lance McCullers to throw about 75 pitches. It's final tune-up for the regular season. The road trip will also test the Astros' discipline as they work to social distance in the clubhouse and on the field.
You know, the major difference was guys are yelling across the room versus going over and talking to them because you had to stay in your seat. Now, that's going to be real challenging, especially for the real social guys. It is a little inconvenient, but it beats the alternative of us not playing at all.
No decision from the UIL about fall sports for high schools here in Texas. That'll come in the next day or two. In the meantime, Bob Slovak reports the Foster Falcons are adjusting to get their work in.
Workout protocol in this COVID world we live in can be simple. Mask on when waiting your turn, mask off if you want while doing the drill. The Foster Falcons keeping it safe while getting their work in.
We really want them to stay active, and an opportunity to train with your team under a safe environment, I think is paramount. So being able to have these guys out here kind of gives us a sense of normalcy.
We've been ready to get back out here and just put some work in. You know, trying to go far this year.
Foster and other area high schools now able to get some football work in. The Falcons fired up this morning for some one-on-one competition. It has been too long. The UIL working to find a way for teams to play this fall. The private schools have already pushed the start of their season back to late September.
I just don't want it to be canceled. I think that we can find things to do and to make things safe. So if that means pushing the season back and playing shorter games or a different amount of games, I'm good with that. I just don't want it to be canceled.
How much are you itching to play this senior season?
I'm itching very bad. I want to play. I have to play. So I just want to go out with the band. I want to go far in the playoffs and hopefully win state. Do anything in my power to do it.
At Foster High School, Bob Slovak, ABC 13, Eyewitness Sports.
Sure hope they can find a way. We'll be right back.
Well, your holiday season might look a little different this year, unfortunately. The Houston Ballet making changes in the midst of the coronavirus outbreak, including the cancellation of the Nutcracker, a favorite. The organization saying it hopes to hold its first in-theater performance December 4th, followed by a limited number of other performances of a holiday special.
It'll be missed. Well, that's going to do it for Eyewitness News at 6:30. Our next newscast is at 10, Chauncey.
Thanks for being here with us tonight. Go to abc13.com for a recap of today's big stories. Have a great evening, friends.